So we're going to get started. Welcome to Kickoff. I know it's been a little weird, and I know this Zoom meeting's a little weird. So here's an agenda of what we're going over tonight. I'll introduce you to the team this year. We had a town hall last week that we went over the COVID guidelines, and we're going to briefly go through those now. We'll go over the annual update process, so registering your organization EagleSync, because the deadline for that's coming up soon. We'll go over how EagleFest is going to be run and answer some questions you guys have on that. We'll also just address questions you might have about Zoom, how to run effective meetings over Zoom, because I know it's really difficult, it's really hard. We've all had classes this week, and I'm sure you've had professors that have struggled. So we'll try to address some issues with that. The EMU Credit Union is here, so they'll discuss bank accounts. We'll talk about orgs who still have their X funds and they need to transfer that money. The student government couldn't make it to this meeting, but I've got some information about how you can get funding from them. And we'll also go over what conferences and event services are going to look like this year with our learning from home. So to start, this is your campus life team. We're excited to have you. My name's Abby, I'm the graduate assistant. Lucas is our director of campus life, and then the two student assistants who are diligently answering your questions are Carter and Faith. So on the left here, I've just got some events that are coming up, some trainings. These solars happen, this one's the only one that's required, but solars happen every month where we go through some professional development, and you're welcome to attend those. Also, all funding from past years have been transferred to a virtual setting. So for conferences, you're allowed to apply for money if it's virtual conferences, and the collaboration grant will still be done as long as the event is virtual. So I have the guidelines to start for what this semester is going to look like. Meetings need to be held virtually whenever possible. Only outdoor events are even allowed this fall. You can't reserve space. It's a first come, first served basis. And you still have to adhere to all guidelines. So you have to be wearing masks and staying 6 feet apart, even outside. Additionally, you must be 25 feet away from building entrances and exits. That way people going through buildings can also adhere to the social distancing. So even the outside events need to have less than 25 people. I already covered the 6 feet in cover. You can only gather between 6 a.m., 6 p.m. You can't have anything that's going to attract crowds. So no amplifiers unless they're needed for somebody who is hearing impaired. No grills, and we ask that you don't leave any trash. You need to keep attendance of those in case of contact tracing. We'll go over this more with event services, but you can't reserve space for the foreseeable future. You can't have tables in the lobby in the student center. You can't do tables outside, and there's no handling of anything. So you can't hand out food, you can't hand out flyers, nothing where you're going to be interacting with other people in that way. Lucas, I know you're on this call. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, Abby, you covered the basics. Folks, if you have a question about something you're trying to do and wondering if it fits within those requirements, you can reach out to us and we will provide guidance for you. We know it's frustrating, but we appreciate you adhering to those guidelines so that we can get back to hopefully being back to in-person and normal as soon as possible.
All right, thanks, Lucas. Continue with your questions in the chat and the Q&A. We'll answer them as best as we can. Any questions that we don't immediately answer during this, please send us an email. And after this, we'll send out an email blast that has all of your questions with what our answer is if we can't get to it in this meeting. So next, we're going to go through the updating process. So for anybody who's already completed this, thank you. For anybody who hasn't done it, you have until October 1st. That's the deadline. We know it's been unideal this year. We're not getting back to you guys as quickly as we would have liked. There's just been some red tape issues on our side that we've been trying to deal with. So we really thank you for being patient. We know that some orgs might not be actively recruiting this fall because of the pandemic, but you still need to register to stay in good standing with us. So that's important that you still complete this process. So yeah, so the purpose of re-registering, normally you'd be able to host events associated with the campus on campus. This year we can only do virtual events, and we'll actually go over how to create a virtual event. You also recruit at Eagle Fest and Winterfest, you need to be in good standing. So if campus looks normal in the fall, we expect people would like to recruit at Winterfest. So it'd be good if you registered in order to do that. You can't receive any funding from the campus unless you are in good standing with us. And people can find you on EagleSync, which is important for people trying to learn about your org. So you have to re-register once a year. As I mentioned, that deadline is October 1st. And if you ever change your roster after that October 1st deadline, you need to update it in EagleSync. Those email blasts that you get from us, those are based off of who is currently listed in the roster. So if you have old people listed in the roster, old presidents, they're going to get it instead of the current person. So it's important to us that you keep your roster up to date. So to do this process, you just have to go into EagleSync, fill out the re-registration form, and then we need 5 officers to fill out e-board signature forms and 1 advisor. And the advisor must be staff or faculty at EMU. So just quickly on how to go through it. So once you log into EagleSync, you'll want to hit that top grid in the top right corner and click Manage. You'll navigate to the org you want to update, and you'll see this blue box. It says re-register this organization. You'll go through 11 steps. They're simply just updating your constitution if you have updates, updating your roster at that point. You can change pictures, you can change information. And as you see here on step 11 is where you'll get the forms for your e-board and the advisor. And these are the forms you need to send to them that they have to fill out, that we check, and that's required to complete the registration. So additionally, we have different videos on how to complete different things with that. So on our resources page, the Campus Life resources page, there's how to re-register your organization. If you go to Campus Life's EagleSync page, you'll also find like a Zoom Basics video that Faith created for us, creating an interest form, which anybody who did Eagle Fest learned the basics of. And we'll soon put up a changing your roster form, or excuse me, a changing your roster video. And we just plan to continue making these videos since we can't interact with you guys face-to-face for demonstrations. So if there's anything on EagleSync you don't know how to do but want to know how to do, shoot us a video, shoot us an email and we'll make a video to show you that process. Okay, so now we're gonna go over to Eagle Fest, and I'm actually gonna pass the mic over to Carter, who will talk us through that.
Yep, so due to university guidelines, we will be doing Eagle Fest this semester through online format. And so how it's split up for this semester is Eagle Fest is going to be split between 2 days, September 8th and 9th, 4 o'clock to 6 p.m. And we have it split into different categories each day. Day 1's going to go over academics, business, professional development, athletics, club sports, gaming and technology, international and travel, political, historical, social justice interests. And day 2 will go over activism, philanthropy, FSL, health and wellness, multicultural and racial identities, music, art, entertainment, and religion and spirituality. And what we did, or what our team did, was we created these PDFs that students could access to gain access to your EagleSync pages, your interest forms, and your social media and videos that you submitted to us. Just to show you all that right now. All the information that you shared with us, your about me's for your organization, your EagleSync webpage, they're all in this PDF. And each PDF is categorized by the category for your student organization. So for example, all the organizations that identified with activism, philanthropy are on this PDF. So any student that goes and checks it out, all the links are embedded into these different icons. So if they were to click this right here, it would take them to your EagleSync webpage. If you did submit a interest form, they would just click here and it would direct them to that interest form that you created. And in the middle here would take students to any social media or videos that you provided of your organization. For chapter leaders, I would just recommend double checking those links just to make sure that they're active, that you did not submit a dead link. I would also recommend that for the Zoom links for Eagle Fest as well, just to double check and make sure that those consistently stay active. Oh, and so we chose to do it this way. This semester, the orientation team did get all this information, and so it was distributed to new students. So in the event that a few students only show up to your Zoom link for Eagle Fest, keep in mind that that doesn't mean that more students didn't look through this information. So we provided these PDFs to ensure that students who might not feel comfortable being in a Zoom call with strangers, it's a lot different than meeting people in person and having an in-person organization fair. So we wanted to make sure that we could accommodate both types of students with these changes that we had to make to Eagle Fest this year. And organizations, they are allowed to operate Zoom however they feel, but they can only have one member who is operating the room. That means one host. And so essentially you can do anything you want in that meeting, whether you're just chatting with new students or you want to do any sort of recruitment event, such as playing games. Those options are available to you.
Hi, everyone. So with everything being virtual this semester, Zoom will become your organization's best friend. It may be new to some people. That's why taking the time to learn and understand how it works is crucial to making sure that this semester runs smoothly. So make sure you're allotting enough time for the usage of Zoom. Technical difficulties may happen, obviously, or what you had planned may not work as well over Zoom. So be prepared to change things up quickly. Communication is key throughout all of this. Know that this is not ideal. Make sure to stay in touch with your officers to ensure that things are going as well as they could be. If need be, having a facilitator or moderator may help your Zoom meetings run smoother. Participation is going to look a little different than your regular in-person meetings. Make sure to explain your expectations for the meetings, whether that be video on or off, muted mics when someone else is speaking. Make sure to include activities that get people talking. Use the breakout rooms to your advantage. Although silence may be awkward, it is completely normal, and give people a second to start talking. Hosting your organization's meetings over Zoom is going to be different. Accept the fact that there may be bumps in the road and change your expectations. We are all trying to make the best out of what we're dealing with. Here's a list of different resources that can be used for virtual meetings and or get-togethers. If you guys find any other resources for operating meetings effectively, hosting fundraisers, and or recruiting ideas, please email us and let us know so that we can share it with all the organizations on campus.
Okay, next is Eastern Michigan University Credit Union. Caleb, are you there and can you speak okay?
Yeah, ready to rock and roll. All right, so this is going to be pretty brief for you guys. I'm not going to take up too much time. Some of the easy stuff for you we're going to go over. I'm going to kind of walk you through the establishment or the update of your EMU-CU account, much like you're going to update your paperwork with Campus Life to make sure that everything on file with them is accurate. If you have an existing account with us, we ask the same thing, making sure that everything we have on file is good to rock and roll. By that, I mean that we want to make sure if your treasurer or your president has changed and you want that person on the account, going to go through kind of how we're going to want to do that, what we'll need from you, so on and so forth. So to jump in here for y'all, opening or updating an account with us, you really only need 3 core things. First of which is an organization EIN. So what that looks like for you guys, it's a tax ID number that's unique to your student organization. You can obtain it on the IRS website. Make sure it's irs.gov. Don't fall for all the phishing scams and stuff that are out there. You can get a PDF of one. Takes about 5 minutes of your time. Your organization bylaws and or governing documents. I know some organizations have very complex ones that are actually written with articles and everything else in mind, and others may have a more abbreviated version. So keep that in the back of your mind there. And then additionally, we would look for meeting minutes with you guys. So what we look for in that. So this is kind of your statement as an organization stating we're going to open an account with EMU-CU, and we're also going to go through the process of designating who is going to be on that account. So we want those signers named. So as an example, if Carter and Faith are the president and treasurer of an organization, if you guys decide that they're going to be signers, we need to see that in the meeting minutes. One other thing is that every signer has to be able to provide their own tax ID, so their social security number, and a government issued ID. We can't open accounts with just student IDs. We need some form of government issue, so a driver's license, a passport. One other piece of information I do want to share there as well, and this is just a recommendation that we make because I have seen it quite a few times over the last calendar year. If your admin, or I shouldn't say admin, if your faculty advisor rather is comfortable being on the account, highly recommend that you speak with that faculty advisor and try and get them on there as a signer. Reason I recommend that is I think we all know, whether we're a new organization or we've been around for a couple of decades, there's turnover every year, and so having that constant of another faculty advisor that doesn't change every single year is going to give you guys just a little bit more stability as organizations with us. That pretty much wraps up the opening stages to that process. There's a little bit more in detail, but that's something that if you guys have questions, please feel free, as Abby mentioned, put that stuff out there. And then if there is anything that needs to be answered, Abby will let me know and I'll get you guys answers. Couple of concrete answers here as well in regards to what we offer. For those of you that were around for the time of the X Fund was very practical because it lets you know exactly what you had and exactly how you could get it, but finding out what you had in your X Fund wasn't always easy. Take a little bit of time, gives you a little bit of difficulty to reach out and try and get that information. With us, it's just like having your own personal bank account, but it's dedicated to the organization. So the biggest thing is that we don't charge you any fees. We open you a savings, we fund the $5, and you guys are able to put money in at your leisure for savings towards an event or dues for the organization. Your treasurer, president, whoever else you guys decide can have access to the online banking, can also check balances on their phone, on the computer. So before you guys ever, go to the store and buy something or ahead of an event, you can always monitor your finances, as well as being able to send money back and forth. So if you guys are using Venmo, if you're going to use even Zelle, you can link your EMU-CU organizational account, say, to a specific Venmo account that's dedicated to your organization to be able to transfer funds in and out accordingly, just like you would if it was your personal account. Nice thing here as well, guys, is that funds accessibility is huge. I mean by that, just like when you go to the store and you swipe your debit card, we can get you a debit card for your student organization. So if you have to make a stop at a store, it's not something where you guys have to go and pull cash out or someone has to coordinate A, B, and C. Instead, you've got accessibility right on the fly. We can also do checks if you're working, say, with a vendor and you have to pay them in a check for a down payment to secure them for an event, things like that. A little bit less common right now because we're all doing things remotely, but just to keep in the back of your mind. And the biggest thing for us as well, just like Campus Life is accessible for anything that comes up with your organization, if you guys are interested in opening an account, if you have one already and you have follow-up questions, we are on campus even right now. We have folks staffing Monday through Friday that are there excusing an hour lunch break from 1:30 to 2:30. So you can stop on by, you can set up an appointment, and we can get you guys questions answered, anything that you may need, trying to be as accessible just like everybody else that you're going to see here helping you guys out. The biggest thing that I do want to cover is just, if you have questions, and I know that this is one of those things where there's so much info coming around, just scribble them down and make sure you forward them along to the folks that are here. If there is anything that I can answer in the chat as well, I absolutely will. The biggest thing is just knowing that this is something that most organizations are going to need, and us being on campus is going to be your best option in regards to getting a hold of what you need and being able to coordinate everything between your accounts payable department and, as we're going to go over here a little bit later, getting stuff out of your X Fund, being able to just walk right downstairs and come to us and then go right back upstairs to get some stuff taken care of. Super seamless. That about does it for me. So just post anything you guys have questions wise and we'll get all that stuff answered.
Thanks, Caleb. Yep, we've gotten a couple questions for you in the Q&A, so if you could try opening that up and answering anything you can, that'd be really helpful. Okay, so next, so normally student government would be here to present to you guys. They're going through a transition period. Normally they would have had their elections in the spring, but due to the shutdown of the university, that didn't happen, and so they don't have their board as seamless as they normally do. However, the funds are still available. If you go to the EMU student government website, you can, at the top there, they have that tab funding, and there's instructions there with how you can apply for funding for your org and what rules and regulations you have to follow. If you have questions, you should email Mohammed Agor, whose email I have on this slideshow, but if you go to their website and click the SG members, his email is listed there as well. If you guys have questions about this, we unfortunately don't really have the expertise to answer, and we wouldn't want to tell you anything wrong. So if you do have questions for funding, I encourage you to send them some emails. As mentioned, we've updated our website recently with this financial resources section. If you go to the Campus Life, Student Organizations, Resources, you'll find what I have there in the bottom corner. It's just a quick blurb about how you can go about transferring your X funds, which Caleb touched on. We know we've gotten some email questions about that. And so that's, look there first, and then if you still have questions, go ahead and come to us and we'll do our best to help you with that. So normally we would have Kathy from Event Services come and talk to you, but because of the fact that we can't have events or book rooms on campus, she didn't really have much to say, so I'm going to cover a few things for her here, and then she sent us a video, which I hope works. So what they normally do, for anyone who doesn't know, is they manage spaces in the Student Center, McKinney, and the Lake House. They also provide contracts for event details, such as setup, AV work, and catering. They write the catering contracts for campus, and they assist with special event forms and multi-date forms. If you go to their website, you'll see more of those information. So I have a video.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sure I'm echoing all the other departments in saying that this is not how any of us who typically present at Solar wanted to present. 2020 has already been a year of firsts, and this is another one for me not being live with you in our ballroom. Instead, I'm at my home recording a video for you with my dog Cooper by my feet. Who would have ever guessed that? I'm truly missing you all, and not being around campus's first week of classes is really tough. We hope you are adjusting as best as you can, but most importantly, that you're staying safe and healthy. There's no doubt we'll miss seeing you at your events this fall, buzzing around the Student Center, or even my personal favorite, when you stop by to say hi. Hopefully these adjustments that we're doing this semester will help us get back to whatever the normal will be. While our office doesn't have a ton of work with you this fall in terms of helping you reserve spaces and execute events, we are still managing bookings and inquiries remotely. We have been since March and will be for the foreseeable future. With that in mind, I wanted to provide a few updates in working with us this semester. As you've heard, due to the current public health guidelines, we are not reserving any indoor spaces on campus for meetings or events this fall. That includes, but is not limited to, the Student Center, McKinney, Lake House, and the academic spaces. With a given maximum of 10 guests only, it's just not feasible. By now, you should have also seen or heard about the new outdoor gatherings policy. This policy doesn't require a reservation with our office, but please reference the policy carefully before you start your planning. The information can be found on various campus sites, such as Campus Life's, or even ours, Book EMU. Winter semester event planning is currently on hold until we know more about what events could look like beginning in January. There is still too much unknown at this point to be able to proceed with allowing bookings, even in the not so distant future. We will be working alongside the University Administration, Student Center staff, Campus Life, and others to make sure the events, if we can host them, fit within the current safety guidelines, and we continue to keep students, guests, staff, and faculty safe. Most importantly, even though we're working remotely, we are still here for you. You can still call or email us just like normal. Our phones come right to our home. However, new this semester, you can also request a virtual meeting with us. That link can be found on our Book EMU page and also at the end of the video along with our contact info. Thank you so much for your time this evening. If there's anything we can do to assist you, please let us know. Continue to enjoy Solar, soaking up all that great campus info provided by our amazing campus partners. Special thanks to Abby and the Campus Life staff for hosting this great event every year. We look forward to seeing you all really soon, and have a wonderful and safe semester.
Okay, so as mentioned, it is possible to set up virtual events. So here I just have quick instructions on how to do that. To set up virtual events, I have 4 quick and easy steps here to perform that. So, once you log into your account, you can manage your organization. You click your org tools in the top left corner and you go down to events. You'll get up a page that shows all your past events, and in the top right, you'll see a blue box that's create a new event. And as you're creating the event, when it normally asks for a time and place, you can add an online location. So you can do your Zoom or your Google Hangouts, Google Meets, whatever it is, and then you can add it there. And then that way, if you're holding events, you can still post them on the Eagle Sync page for other people to see if you'd like them to attend. Additionally, in our efforts to promote your guys' events, since we can't put up flyers, you can visit that link at the bottom there. We've also sent it out a couple times. It was in our previous newsletter. And it's an intake form to be featured as our student org spotlight, and will promote your event through our social media, so our campus like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, things like that. Lastly, we know only about half of the orgs have been able to clean up their offices. The next scheduled cleanup we have is September 25th. For any org that has yet to pick up their belongings, we will send you an email with instructions on how to sign up. But we wanted to give you guys that date because I know a lot of you had issues previously, since you only had about a week in advance. So thanks for attending. As I mentioned, anybody who's here and filled out the form will choose for a raffle, and you'll get an email about that. We know that this was a bit of a struggle, and we apologize for that. We tried to plan for things and it just didn't work out. If you still have questions, we'll keep the chat up and the Q&A up and do the best that we can to answer. You can also just shoot us student orgs emails, studentorgs@emich.edu, and we'll answer questions that way. As we mentioned, if you had maybe another member or a friend who tried to come in and they couldn't, this was recorded in all its fine glory, and they'll be able to watch it and then answer a questionnaire as their form of attendance so that they can get credit for this. Okay, so if for anybody who is, sorry, let's train of thought. Oh, for anyone who doesn't have any questions, you're welcome to leave at this point. But thanks so much.